I've been here for 3 years and I've had 2 contracts already. I've just started my third.
I'm permanent, but we call ourselves continuing because we are sort of dependent on the student numbers.
I'm permanent.
I've just been casualised. I was on a fixed-term contract the last couple of years, 3 different fixed-term contracts, as a matter of fact.
A few different jobs during that time.
I was on a 2-year fixed-term contract and now I'm on a continuing contract.
It is permanent, but we're about to undergo a restructure, so we don't know.
So what's that, 10, 12 contracts? Well, I've been here since the early 80s.
I've been a casual now for 8 years.
My workload has increased probably 2 or 3 times.
I've noticed that there are less staff for a start, but the workload hasn't decreased.
Workload has increased a lot in the last 20 years, where in the past we don't have to do all this admin work on top of our curriculum.
I've seen further casualisation of the workforce. I have seen reductions in staff and significant increases in workloads for people doing a similar job.
The major change that I've seen since starting at the university is just that it seems that they're continually failing to refill administration roles.
Last year, the introduction of the new student system was absolutely chaotic and wasn't working properly, and we were all having to work 12-hour days for a few months, for probably about 3 months. It's very strenuous on everyone physically, emotionally, mentally, so yeah.
And unfortunately they do dump work on you that you can't really say no at the moment, especially with the scare of getting rid of 7% of staff here at the university. That's impacted on quite a lot of people, including myself as well.
Teaching is actually a fun part of the job, but it's also, I think, kind of used as more and more, almost used as a punishment. Like they hold out, if you don't research, if you don't get a certain number of publications, then you're going to be a teaching-focused academic or whatever. So it's almost, I find that attitude a bit strange, that teaching's kind of a punishment.
The reason I wanted this job so much is because I loved SCA more than anything. It was like home to me, it was like family, and to see the erosion of what the students are getting, I reckon they're getting a really bum deal. And from even, like I was an undergrad in 2006, and the kind of contact hours, the sort of pedagogical practices all seem to be really compromised and continuing to be so. I think, the change plan in progress at the moment makes it look even worse for the students.
There's been a real emphasis now on taking money from the students, particularly international students.
So you can be paid on a casual basis, paid by the hour, but you can't have a casual lease on an apartment. You can't have casual children that you just have 1 hour here, 1 a week. Your whole life is impacted by being a casual. You can't plan anything.
The good thing, I guess, is that, I get to work and get to teach and get to teach things I enjoy teaching and do research that I enjoy doing. The bad thing is that when they decide that they don't have the budget for it, they don't have a job, which is right now.
I was told last year that in light of the staff cuts, they would not be converting any fixed-term contracts into continuing work.
Because you're casual, you feel like, well, if I'm not here, they're going to have to get someone else, and they will, and then I'll lose my job.
There's nothing really good about being casual. If you're living in Sydney, how are you supposed to be able to pay your $30,000 a year rent? Got to learn those.
Especially once I had a daughter, you start to worry about things a lot more.
You're only paid session by session, and there's a lot of additional work that really is not covered by the contracts.
Even once you're continuing, you definitely have the sense that it won't. There's no such thing as permanent job anymore. So there's definitely insecurities, and there's a lot of pressure, workload pressure on to produce.
The trigger is obviously the enterprise agreement and the fact that they're absolutely gutting any rights that we possibly could have, but that's only the trigger.
What they're trying to do with editing the enterprise agreement now, that's getting rid of a lot of job security. It's getting rid of the traditional workloads formulas.
They're trying to get rid of a lot of full-time positions to get them casual, and just the rights that they're trying to take away from us it's just not on.
Such as the reduction to sick leave, which they've been talking about, and also the removal of review processes in terms of redundancies and performance management.
Well, it makes sense. You've got a divided staff. People are a little bit frightened. You can get anything done you want. I mean, our manager's very corporate, and I think he'd love not to have continuing.
Every contract I sign, the conditions are worse. You have to fight. You're not fighting for better conditions all the time. It feels like you're fighting against having your conditions taken away.
I don't see why we should give up any rights or protections whatsoever.
I think they need to create ongoing positions for staff.
I know a lot of people that lose jobs and don't get jobs or can't get jobs, and I don't really know anyone that's got a job. Just don't bother. It's basically what I get told.
I have plans now to finish my PhD and actually leave the sector. Yeah, so I'm here and I want to support other people to get better conditions for what they're doing, but I'm 31 and I don't have any savings or anything, and I want to have children and a family and all those things, and so I just have to leave the sector and do something else. Sorry, I didn't think I was going to cry.
At the end of the year, I will be looking for another job.
This university's getting the fight out of me. They're not going to abuse me and treat me like crap for years on end.